CBS47 on your side with Ann Hogg, Matt Ottstott with True View Weather, and Paul Leffler on sports.
Well, Paul Leffler is here, and before we get to sports, we're first going to do stories of service, and this is about a veteran who is cooking up a storm in the kitchens.
Yeah, his World War II duty is a little different than most, certainly. The Valley will bid farewell to a local legend next week when Hanford's Imperial Dynasty restaurant closes its doors. Owner Richard Wing has earned international acclaim for his continental chinoise cuisine. But the restaurant might never have become what it is without Wing's service during World War II and the influence of a man who's been called the greatest modern American.
Yeah, the ceiling is it represents the Arch of Heaven. We call it pagoda ceiling. Pagoda means the temple of heaven.
Richard Wing's family has been in the restaurant business in Hanford for more than a century. In addition to priceless Chinese artwork on the walls of the Imperial Dynasty, you'll find countless awards. The LA Times called Richard the chef who saved Hanford's Chinatown. But hanging higher than any culinary award is a tribute to his hero.
See, this is General Marshall. Who is the greatest modern American?
Wing isn't the only one who thinks General George C. Marshall was something special. Winston Churchill called Marshall the true organizer of victory in World War II. President Franklin D. Roosevelt said he couldn't sleep with Marshall out of the country. He became the first soldier to win the Nobel Peace Prize and was twice named Time's Man of the Year. Marshall probably shaped the world more than anyone else in the last 70 years, and he had a profound influence on Richard Wing's life, too. Although Richard never saw that coming when he was at basic training at Camp Roberts in 1943.
After the 25-mile hike, which I did not finish, I only did about 13 or 14 miles of it, I just collapsed. And my heart kept beating, pounding, 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 and something wrong with my heartbeat.
Richard's heartbeat didn't slow down for about 14 hours. His condition made it clear he'd never see the front lines.
Yeah, they put me into limited service and put me into the mess hall, and they find out that I'm even a better cook than those 3 cooks at the mess hall.
Wing's reputation spread a lot faster and a lot further than he could have ever imagined. After a round of interviews he thought would be related to his discharge, he was approached by a colonel.
Say, Wing, tomorrow you pack up. You'll be leaving the camp.
Wing was headed to Washington, D.C., but he still wasn't sure why. Another colonel greeted him at the airport and took him to Fort Myer in Arlington.
They stopped at quarter number 1. That's where the 5-star general stayed, chief of staff. Then I was introduced to General and Mrs. Marshall. And then I found out I was designated to be the cook.
As Marshall orchestrated the Allied victories in Europe and in the Pacific, Wing learned more and more about cooking from French chefs who had been drafted into the Army.
And after 6 months cooking for him, he decided to retire. So when he retired from the Pentagon, he said, Wing, you could join us to Leesburg for a while or just get your early discharge. I said, hey? I said, General, I'd like to spend some time with you at Leesburg, Dodona Manor.
Wing was at Marshall's Dodona Manor in Leesburg, Virginia for less than 2 weeks when the next chapter of his adventure began with a telephone call from the White House.
It was President Truman. Wing, because I met him before. I said, Wing, is this you? I said, I'd like to speak to General Marshall. Yes, sir. I said, this is President of the United States? No.
He ran upstairs to tell the general the commander-in-chief was on the line, and then went back to work preparing Marshall's favorite leg of lamb.
After dinner, the general asked me, I said, Wing, have you ever been to China before? Yes. Yes, sir. I was in China in 1938 and 39. My mother and father sent us back to China to be Chinified because we were being too Americanized in Hanford. So I wanted to learn how to speak Chinese.
China was now in the midst of a civil war, and President Truman had called to ask Marshall to go there as his special envoy. The general told Wing he wasn't going alone.
In a little over a month, you will be going to China with me. In the meanwhile, you're going to have some special training in security, in protocol, in hospitality, and in food tasting. I was assigned to be his personal security aide and private food taster overseas.
Wing was Marshall's first line of defense against poisoning and also kept his taste buds on the lookout for shrimp, strawberries, and garlic. The general was allergic to those. His travels with Marshall would allow him to meet Chiang Kai-shek and his wife, General Douglas MacArthur, and many other world leaders. And the assignment also gave him an excuse to be in kitchens all over the world.
It was a beautiful assignment because I enjoy the kitchen. Yeah. And this is where I pick up, I learn much about cooking. It's all over the world. China, Japan, Berlin, Rome, Frankfurt, Paris.
Those international influences are impossible to miss at the Imperial Dynasty, where Wing is famous for his escargot.
You should eat it with the sauce and all. Yeah, don't drip it. Just put it in the line.
I let too much sauce get away?
Yeah.
While I savored his signature dish, Richard showed me the signatures of General and Mrs. Marshall on letters they exchanged for years after he left the service. But the autograph he cherishes the most came from Marshall's tenure as Secretary of State. 1 month before Wing's honorable discharge, he received a call from Marshall's right-hand man, General Carter.
Say, you get ready and put on your best suit. Say, you have an official appointment 11 o'clock this morning with the Secretary of State.
Marshall had mentioned no such thing when he left the house just a half hour earlier, but Wing did as he was told, and after a limousine ride into Washington, was greeted in Marshall's office by a photographer from Time magazine. After several shots in a variety of poses, Marshall's regard for Wing was evident when he decided which one was the keeper.
I said, I want to have this. This is my favorite one because we're in an equal level. He was that nice to me.
Very nice to him, and that's what made Marshall such a great general. He didn't see himself as above everyone else. Richard Wing was his friend.
You like the escargot?
It was good. I'll tell you, the food at Imperial Dynasty, outstanding. I hope it doesn't close. Maybe the family can keep it going. If you'd like to get involved in helping us preserve the stories of World War II veterans like Richard Wing, that was a unique story. Before it's too late, go to our website, CBS47.TV, or call that number on your screen, 559-445-0015.